Hey, this is Nick Moke for Digital Trends. Today we're taking a look at the Palm Pre Plus. Now this is an updated version of the Palm Pre, which originally launched on Sprint. This is the version for Verizon. Verizon is currently the only carrier that has the Plus model. So we will run through some of the features that come with the Plus model and kind of run down whether this phone has gotten any better in the switch from Sprint to Verizon. So from the outside, this really doesn't look too different from the Sprint version, but there's a couple of things I can point out that have changed. You'll see down here there's no longer this sort of trackball look-alike button, which used to signal the area used to kind of start this functionality. That was never really necessary, and we don't miss it at all on the Plus version. Some other changes: this slider, which felt a little flimsy on the original Palm Pre, has been improved dramatically. It feels quite a bit smoother now. It used to sort of almost like snag in the middle. It felt like it never really wanted to complete the sliding. Much better now. Also, the QWERTY keyboard, if I'll open this back up for you, it's a little bit different. The symbols on here, like the money sign for instance, they used to be in orange. They're now in gray. They look a little less pronounced, but the keyboard looks a little less busy as well. They've also improved the feel of this a little more. This is actually probably one of the better QWERTY keyboards we've ever used that's this narrow. It is very narrow, but the keys have a really nice feel to them, and they really they respond very readily. So great keyboard as usual on here. Another big change, the Pre Plus has gone from 8 gig of storage to 16 gig of storage, which is huge, and the RAM has also doubled, which means it's actually better at multitasking than the first one. We won't bore you with the monotony of showing this here, but other people have gotten this thing to run 50 apps at once, which is pretty impressive considering your run-of-the-mill iPhone can only do one. Of course, there are a few disadvantages still standing on the Pre Plus. The app catalog for WebOS, still not that great. It's come a long way. There's a lot more than the dozen or so that were sort of available at launch on Sprint, but you're still not going to find absolutely everything as you could on, say, the iPhone. And it doesn't even really approach, BlackBerry or even Android's offerings. Also, WebOS, it looks pretty good here, but it does sometimes lag a little bit. One of our complaints with the original Palm was that, with the original Pre, was that it felt a little bit sluggish at times, and this thing has the exact same processor. Even though it has more memory and more storage, it's not really any more responsive through the memories and such, or through the menus and such. So that's something we feel could really be improved upon still. And WebOS, we really like it as an operating system, but it's worth noting it's still not quite as intuitive as an iPhone. It's more powerful, it obviously has multitasking, but for someone who really wants the absolute simplest, this is still a little more complicated than the iPhone. So despite a few revisions in software, it's still a little bit more of a learning curve for this. For a lot of people, it's definitely going to be worth it. Definitely gives you a lot more capability, but for people, if I were buying, for instance, for my grandma, I would not have the Pre, I would probably go with the iPhone. So that's about where the Pre Plus stands. A lot of great improvements, and a phone that we actually gave an Editor's Choice Award. Really great handset if you're on Verizon.